and welcome back to Julia at Home. We are coming to the end of our homeschool year with my 4 children. I have a 5th grader, a 3rd grader, a pre-K, 4 almost 5-year-old, and a toddler who is going to turn 3 very soon. Today's video is on Latin. I had my 5th grader doing Latin this year, and it was the first year I had a child doing this subject, and I did decide to require it. If you follow me, I'm Charlotte Mason mostly inspired, but I'm also eclectic, and I decided to pull from classical, and I am requiring a year or 2 of Latin for each child. And I think it's going to be 2 years because we are using the big book of Lively Latin, and there is a book 1 and a book 2. So this year she did book 1, and next year I'll have her do book 2. We got the version that is like the physical version of it, and they send it to you digitally. I actually have a USB drive with all the stuff on it, and I printed it out. But they also have an online format where you can take the class online. I prefer to do more like physically in our homeschool than online. So I like this option. And then the USB also has audio to go with it. So let me get into it a little bit. I'll tell you my perspective, and then I also asked my daughter a little bit about it, so I will tell you her thoughts as well. Overall, I was very happy. It did what I wanted it to do. So if you're going to do Latin, I think it's a good curriculum. It has vocab and grammar, and you're learning declensions and verb, conjugation and agreement. So you're doing all of the stuff that you would do in a foreign language. And again, it gives you the audio so that you can hear how things are pronounced. And there's actually 2 options for pronunciation, because there's Latin has ecclesiastical and classical pronunciation, and I'm pretty sure we're doing classical. And yes, we were doing classical. So there are several different types of lessons. There's of course the grammar lessons are the bulk of what's going on, learning, how to decline, learning that verbs have different endings and how you adjust those. So then there's lessons that are derivative lessons that it starts actually with talking about how the family tree of languages and how Latin is related to other languages, talks about what a derivative is, what is deriving, and it's basically, words in other languages, and it focuses on English because this curriculum is in English. That are derived from Latin. So for example, like terra is land, and so things like there's terracotta, terrain, things like that are derived from the Latin word terra. So there's lessons on those throughout, not as many as the grammar lessons. And then there are history portions of it where it's going through the history of Rome. And these are actually, you could leave out the history lessons if you don't want to do that. It would make the whole thing shorter. You could probably go through both books in 1 year if you did that. Because I'd say at least 1/3 of the lessons are history lessons. I liked them and my daughter liked them. So she did them. I do just want to note that this is a secular curriculum. There were several other Latin homeschool curriculums that I looked at that were Christian based. So I prefer to use secular curriculum in our homeschool. So it is secular. She finished it a little bit earlier than we finished other subjects, and she did it 4 to 5. Most of the year she did lessons 4 days a week, and I had her doing anywhere from like 2 to 6 pages, but usually 4 a day for 4 days a week. We got through it. And I did want to explain how I organized it. So again, I printed this out from a digital format, and I printed it all at the beginning of the year before we started, which I think was a very good call. So I didn't have to be printing it out. It was a lot. So if you don't have a printer, it is a lot, but you could go to like an office store and they can print pretty cheap at those places. If you don't have a printer, if you have a printer, it's going to use quite a bit of ink and paper. So heads up on that. For me, it was worth it. So I printed it all out ahead of time, and I had my own binder that I stored all of the work that she had not yet done in order. So it was already 3-hole punched and ready to go in order. And then she had her own binder. And what I would do is each week, she has a file folder, and my kids have a basket of work, my older kids. And it has this folder in it, their math books, all the things that they need for their school. And they also have their own notebook where each week I write down day by day what they're expected to do that day, and they check it off. So she would have, Monday Latin was always review vocabulary and then these pages. So every day she's supposed to review the vocabulary she's learned and then do the pages she's assigned. And some days when it's just adding new vocabulary, that's just what it is. But I would put those pages in her folder. She also has her handy dandy chant sheet still in here, already in here. I actually started marking them, the pages with the day of the week as well, just to make it extra clear because we had some miscommunications in there. And yeah, so then she would do those, and then each week when I refreshed, I would take the ones that she had completed out and put it in her binder. So mine started getting smaller as she used the pages, and hers started getting bigger, and they're all in her binder. So that's how I organized it and how she worked through it. A couple things, ideally I think I would be going over it each day she's done it, because there were a couple times I looked over the work and there were some errors or some things she had missed or wasn't sure about, and she didn't come ask me, she just skipped them. So I would go back and like go over them with her, but it would be more ideal to do that on a day-to-day basis so she's not, missing something on Tuesday and then on Wednesday is supposed to know it, you know what I mean? So we don't want to keep doing it wrong. So I will try next year. It is a little hard with the 4 kids. My attentions get a little split, but that's something just to note. But it's not the end of the world doing it every week. She did learn a lot. And most of the time she didn't, I didn't need to correct anything. And I would love to do it with her, and I thought about it, and I just, with the little people I have right now, with the ages I have right now and all that I'm doing, I don't have time, but hopefully I'll have all my kids do Latin, and at some point I will do it with them, maybe just print myself out the whole thing and do it with them so that I can learn along with them. I know a little bit. I took 1 year in school. It's not necessary for you to know it. She really walks through everything. There are also, along with this, it comes with online lessons. So you can also see, I think it's video. So everything is on the USB drive. So if my daughter wanted to, she could go back over the lesson on video. But I found that it was just a repeat of what was written. So it might just depend on how your child learns best. If they learn better by seeing somebody talk about it, then that might be a really good option for you. So my overall impression, it was all good. I am very happy with it. I think it's a great Latin curriculum. Again, if you're just looking for Latin, you could skip the history part and do both books in 1 year. That's what I would do if you were doing that. But I love the history part. And my daughter's impression was, I am requiring her to take it. So her initial reaction was, well, I wouldn't want to have to do it at all. But she says if you have to take Latin, that this is a good curriculum. And I think she really enjoyed it. She didn't really complain about it at all, as she does with some other subjects, and she seemed to enjoy it. So there's that. She also really, really liked the history part of it. That was her favorite part, and she found the audio very helpful with how to pronounce things. I think without the audio, having the physical copy would probably not be enough. So, Big Book of Lively Latin is a yes. I would recommend, my daughter would recommend, and she will be doing book 2 next year. Hope that was helpful, and I will talk to you later. Bye, friends.